It is March 19th, 2024. It's currently 9 a.m. Moments after I'm documenting the third-party group stalker. They are systematically group stalking here at Alvarado Gardens, and that's why you have the light source here at 9 a.m. The specific environment is being maintained over me here in Los Angeles, which again we will juxtapose with what is the specific environment as I'm giving you another vivid illustration of what was the placement of the light source, which is supposed to be the sun. And under no circumstances is it possibly the sun, because while the light source remains, by the way, at the same exact location where it remains until the end of the day, because as you well know, the entity is setting the light source right here at 5 p.m. and then moving it to be seen through my bedroom window after 5 p.m. when I go back to my apartment, which is building 1806 North Alvarado Street, Los Angeles, California, 90026. At no point in the day ever, while I am standing here facing the direction that I'm standing at this time of day, is there visible any sun over the intersection of Arrow and Sierra Avenue, which is exactly what I documented at 9 a.m. The same exact time you will see the entity group stalking directly in concert with the people of the state in the systematic means, which is traffic here in California. The people of the state are using the roads and the highways. They're using airplanes and helicopters. I'm speaking language pursuant to what is Title 18 while they are engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. And you'll see Officer McMillan, I believe his name is. I will remind you about this documentation that's already captured. This is the entity that is acting directly, bearing weapons, wearing a badge, identified with a corrupt law enforcement agency that is engaged in group stalking. All manner of a threat is being posed to my life while this state actor is monitoring me in that position, and also while I am in that terrorizing environment, replete with the directed light and the light source over my head at 9 a.m. at the intersection of Sierra Avenue and Arrow Boulevard. And if you'll recall my documentation that I reminded you about yesterday, you'll see that same intersection, well, that same street. Valencia is just south of Arrow on the same street of Sierra, because I would go to the Fontana Lewis Library very often. And the documentation is already present. The entity is not only rising the light source there in Fontana, where I would, from the Montana Metro train station up to the Fontana Lewis Library, that street, the entity kept that light source. And while I'm documenting Officer McMillan at 9 a.m. Recall my documentation that I reminded you about yesterday, where I documented that light source while I'm on that same street south of Arrow, which is Valencia, and you see the Fontana Police Department again monitoring and group stalking and engaging in what is threatening my life, terrorizing me, while they are monitoring and group stalking in a helicopter at what is after 5 p.m. This is what I documented on that same street in Fontana, California, where the entity was engaging in the same identical pattern, which is speaking beyond any ability to have a coincidence. It is the specific pattern of conduct that is occurring within what is a phenomenon where the sun is not going to remain present over one street. But not only did it remain present over one street when I'm speaking to what is namely Sierra Avenue, no matter what time of day I arrived in Fontana and went to the library or left the library, the light source remained over me, not only en route to that venue, but also as I remained there and then left that venue. If it was during the day, the entity would set that light source in alignment to the Fontana Lewis Library, aiming engineered light into that library as though that would be where the sun is actually setting. That is a demonic environment. That is the documentation of terrorism that already exists. But I want to remind you specifically about 9 a.m. And there is no sun that will be present over me. There is no sunlight that will be present inside of that laundry room. There's certainly no sunlight that's ever going to appear as you see it onto the heights of the wall inside of the laundry room. That is understanding and recognizing the demonic, which is in your face. You're just not paying attention to it. This is called malice. It's the prosecution of a public entity that is engaged in what is federal group stalking and monitoring. And they are monitoring with communication devices, yes, but understand that demon possessed do not necessarily require. I am prosecuting based on an aspect of the criminal system. I advocate far more federal policy, and there are existing federal laws under which the federal government can prosecute. But this is speaking to what under no circumstances is the natural environment. And Officer McMillan, representing the Fontana Police Department, a demon possessed one, where I've also documented the entity keeping the light source over me, where I'm at the Fontana Police Department well after 9 a.m. Okay, under no circumstances would the sun ever be present over Alvarado Gardens, aiming any sunlight into my apartment. You also know that that's not sunlight because you see the character of it. All I'm doing is showing you every angle, all of the facets of what is a fully exposed criminal system. It's highly malicious. That is synonymous with what is demonic. All right, it's demonic behavior. All right, it's demonic with regard to the use of groups. I want to be clear: demons act in packs. Okay, they don't act individually. Group stalking is demonic activity. And they are targeting, because it's a government, you can criminalize it. You can criminalize their natural behavior in the unnatural environment. And it also serves to inform the masses about what's actually going on. It's currently 9:05 a.m. And you also know that the entity is keeping this light source for the duration of the day. At no point is it ever leaving. It's remaining here adjacent to building 1810 and remaining for the whole day, and then setting right here and by right here, I mean right here. As I walk out, you're looking at engineered light that covers my office door. You see my shadow that's cast in this direction. The light source does not go anywhere. At no point in the day is the sun ever at Arrow and Sierra Avenue, and the Fontana Police Department are engaging in that system, group stalking, using their motorcycles, using helicopters, using their vehicles while they are targeting me in that specific environment, and doing so in a highly malicious manner, and with knowledge of the fact that they're being documented. That speaks to the psychopath that acts with impunity. All right. And so the federal government I'm speaking to, I'm documenting, exposing. Federal policy must respond, a commensurate response, one that not only punishes, but again, serves to deter. All right. Every other state that's monitoring American citizens, and you know that this is the case because Florida does not have the sun over its sky space, but you will see something in the sky space that's supposed to be the sun. Everybody is awakened now to what's actually going on. And the California shall be put on the map for what is a historic prosecution, making an example out of those governments, of those corrupt law enforcement agencies that want to engage in this level of terrorizing an American citizen, who are currently right now imprisoning, and that is kidnapping American citizens whom they're monitoring. They don't even have the legal jurisdiction to have them in custody. Federal group stalking and monitoring is the irrebuttable presumption that the government has lost all authority. So anything that is documented while they were monitoring, if they engaged in any arrest, if they engaged in any imprisonment, right, jailing the target, all of that is serving for what is kidnapping. All right, you have no legal authority when you are monitoring. All of our legal justice system, the criminal laws that exist, it's based on the constitutionality of that. Probable cause is speaking to the government that's not monitoring you. Probable cause is speaking on, well, you are suspicious. You're based on facts that you have. Monitoring, hello, that's the diametrically opposed to the notion of criminal monitoring. Probable cause doesn't exist. Okay, where you are criminally monitoring. And so that is necessarily a part of the analysis. You are kidnapping people. Okay, you are masquerading as a legitimate government. And every venue, every facilitating venue within that entity that is pursuant to that state, and all of the courts, all of the sheriff's departments, all of the police departments, they're monitoring. They're monitoring. Okay, so it's currently 9:07 a.m. This is P.O.C. at Alvarado Gardens, 1810 North Alvarado Street. There's no sun over Arrow and Sierra Avenue. And McMillan, just like I told him, he's going to federal prison. They think that they can monitor you and stalk you in your face like that. That's a communication of a threat, a very audacious one, because they're convinced that they're going to get away with it. Okay? It is currently, again, 9:08 a.m. P.O.C.